you had your I feel like a Top Gear presenter moment?
This is the dream.
Hello, welcome back to the AutoAlex channel. This is Taylor, everybody. It was.
Oh, your presence has grown rapidly.
Who are you and what do you do?
Look at me go.
There's definitely something not right here.
No, we're...
Oh, shit, sorry. It's a bit of a weird story with me. I was a mechanic.
That's the first time I've ever put a leg under a car. My arse hasn't been on display.
Driving along as a trio and you've got a Land Rover in front of you with camera sticking out of it. This is the dream. Like, this is what I watched growing up as a kid and I'm doing it.
Was that like a low point in life?
My mum fell ill. I've got a choice. I'm either full-time buying and selling cars or I'm full-time YouTube. And I was like, I can't do this anymore.
Taylor, you are finally in the van. Your presence has grown rapidly, exponentially, some would say.
Unexpectedly.
Unexpectedly on the screens of automotive YouTube lovers and podcast lovers over the last couple of years. And for the first time this weekend, I was lucky enough to spend some time with you at the Petrol Hedonism event.
Yeah.
We actually had a good chat in Waggers, and we were laughing straight away about various trips, past, present and future. Many will obviously be on this podcast because they already know what they think you do and what you're about. But Taylor, the famous question, in your own words, more like infamous, who are you and what do you do?
Who are you and what do you do? Right, it's a bit of a weird story with me. So I'm Taylor, I do AutoAlex, presenter on AutoAlex and do the podcast as well and do a lot of V2 stuff. So I do a bit of mechanical work on there and do a bit of reviewing, stuff like that. I'm a bit new to it all. My story is a lot different to everyone else's because a lot of other people that came into YouTube obviously studied journalism, knew what they were getting into, you know, and have done it for a long time, you know, done previous careers in it, stuff like that. I was a mechanic, so I started off life as a mechanic in the motor trade, went to college, did mechanics, did a apprenticeship, and you know, did it for 12-15 years, and then met Alex by selling him a car. So I never expected to be, you know, come into this career. I never expected to do what I do. So I'm still learning a lot of stuff as I go along. But yeah, as I say, a presenter on AutoAlex, and I really enjoy it, to be honest. It's really, really good.
The only person that you might be able to relate to in this entire YouTube space that I've watched automotive YouTube since I was a kid. One of the first road trips I ever went on across Europe was with Supercar Driver. Yeah. And my car broke, which was a McLaren 570, and it absolutely crapped itself. And then I had to find lift shares in other cars. Yeah. And I ended up with Tony from Gravelwood in a car who is flamboyant, to say the least, in the things that he says and does. But I think Tony, with his relationship from Sam Seen Through Glass, he's almost, as a cardiac, been thrown into that world of digital and automotive, and it seems like it's been the same for you. So if I take it right back, because we're trying to figure out how you got to where you got to today, and the crazy journey and the steps along that way. So if we take it all the way back to your first and earliest memory of something automotive, what would it be?
So first and earliest memory would have been, I did work experience at a really small garage near where I live, and I worked on a classic Mini. Guy asked me to change a radiator on it. I remember it was a really awkward and fiddly job, and I didn't really know, well, I didn't know what I was doing, didn't have a clue, and he showed me, taught me how to do it, and I did it, and at the end of the day I felt really, really proud of what I'd done. It took me all day to do a radiator, and it was really cool. I still remember it was a white Mini Mayfair automatic. Really, really stupid that I remember that, because I remember absolutely nothing else. But yeah, and I felt really, really proud of it.
You obviously remember it because it's significant.
Yeah, it was significant because, I always wanted to work on cars and I was obsessed with them growing up. Obviously, it was GTA, Gran Turismo 4, playing all the car-related games. It was Fast and Furious, Gone in 60 Seconds, Top Gear, all the usual stuff, and just became obsessed with cars. Knew every make or model. So, yeah.
Where had that come from? Parents, family? Paint us a picture of what life looked like. Like, where was it?
So, my dad was always into cars. I don't know my dad. He left when I was very young, so grew up without a father figure. But my mum also really liked cars too. And I feel like it just runs in the family. Me and Alex have had this discussion before, because we both grew up without father figures. And yeah, we just sort of grew up knowing that we'd like cars. And, you know, just enjoyed a lot of car related things like games and TV shows and stuff like that. And yeah, I just knew going to school that I wanted to do something car related. I wanted a car related career. So yeah, that's sort of where it stemmed.
And what was school like? Were you the confident kid? Were you crazy, or were you way more reserved? Because you are now literally a presenter.
Yeah. I was a bit of a shit in school. I'm not gonna lie. I was a little bit shy, but I did used to get picked on quite a lot, and I would try and stand up for myself when I got picked on, which then got me into trouble. I didn't enjoy the last 2 years of school, and I used to bunk off quite a lot and go home and play, you know, Gran Turismo 4 and GTA. So I didn't spend a lot of time at my last 2 years of school. What else did I do? I got in, because my teachers saw that I wasn't doing very well at school, so they got me into a college course prematurely. So I was actually at college while I was at my last year of school, and I did a mechanics course. And yeah, it just stemmed from there really. So the last, I got 3 GCSEs as well. I got 2 Ds and an E. So obviously smashed it at my GCSEs. I did well. And yeah, just went from college from there. And the day I left school, my mum walked me around all the local garages at a local industrial estate where I lived. And one garage took me on. I was in my school uniform. I had an interview there and then at the desk. He said, yep, you can start next week or in a month, whenever it was. I think I was going on holiday, and he said, you can start when you come back off holiday. Did an apprenticeship there, and I worked there for 10 years. And I worked in the same place for 10 years. And then after that...
But I'm guessing that was a positive experience then.
Yes.
Because it sounds like you've gone from quite a negative experience to quite a positive experience. Yeah. So like that point where you joined that garage, was that like a low point in life? Was you feeling like you didn't know what you wanted to do, a bit lost, or did you know that it's just got to be cars?
Yeah, I knew it had to be cars, and I knew that I wanted a mechanical related... I was very hands-on, so I didn't want to sit around, you know, in an office or anything like that. I'm very hands-on. I'm a... Is it a physical learner? Yeah. You learn, you know, physically. I'm not very good verbally or reading or writing and stuff like that. So I knew that I wanted to do something hands-on, but didn't really know where to look. I was a bit scared to apply at, you know, like a main dealer or something like that. So I thought, well, you know what, we'll go for the backstreet garages. It might be a bit easier. So, yeah, that's where it's...
And 10 years there, what did that look like?
10 years was good. It was very samey, obviously, doing the same job for 10 years. But I did enjoy it. I worked on everything. So we were, you know, we didn't specialise in anything. We had loads of different cars coming through the door. But every time a cool car came through, I used to get very excited and always, you know, insist that I worked on it. I was like, I'm doing this one. One that stuck out was a G-body Porsche 911 that came in. It'd been off the road for about 17 years. And I was very young at the time. I think it must have been 2012, 2013, something like that. And I insisted on working on it. And I worked on it for about 2 weeks because it had a full recommission. And at the end of that 2 weeks, I drove it for the first time and became obsessed with it. And yeah, I was still passionate about it. It never became just a job. I was still passionate about, you know, working on cars. Every car that came in, I took pride in working on it and make sure that the job was done properly. And, you know, towards the end, it was a bit, you know, I did get a bit bored of it and a bit demotivated because I've been there for such a long time. It gets a bit like that. But I knew that I hadn't fallen out of love with the motor trade.
So what was the next step?
So the next step after that was a company called Thunder Road Cars, and they specialised in American classics. And this was where I then went from becoming a general mechanic to learning how to fabricate, how to, you know, tune classic cars, work on classic cars, built a couple of race cars, did a bit of work on a Corvette that raced in the Bahamas, built a Ford Galaxy 500 American race car.
Still employed, still working under that?
Yes, yeah, still fully employed, full-time job. Did a lot of late nights, did a lot of, you know, race prepping, nut and bolt checks, went to quite a few race days, stuff like that. did really enjoy it, to be fair. It was hard work, but I did enjoy it.
So then how come you got a T-shirt there with tailor-made cars on? Where did that come in?
So I knew throughout my career, the longer that I worked for someone, the more I realised that I wanted to run my own business and do my own thing. Because I would always ask the ins and outs of running a business wherever I worked. I'd always show an interest in the paperwork side of things and how it works. And I sort of knew in the back of my head that I wanted to run my own business. But taking that step is massive. You know, quitting your job, going out and saying, right, I'm going to do my own thing, is scary. Cut a long story short, after working at Thunder Road Cars for 2 years, I then worked at the AA. The reason being, it was a bit easier. I was getting a bit tired at that point of working on cars every day. You know, my back started to hurt and it was quite hard graft. And I wanted something that was a little bit easier physically, but still car related. I did apply for a couple of salesman roles, but I didn't get them because I wasn't experienced, mainly because I went straight for like the top end main dealers without having, I didn't want to like work for Kia or something like that.
But then that's quite strange to me, because it sounds like the person that came out of school at the beginning of that journey wouldn't have necessarily been a salesman. So then what happened to your personality between there and then to give it the edge where you think that you were the extroverted enough to be able to sell?
I've always been very good with people. I've always been very good at talking to people and, you know, like relationships wise.
I'm
like
going to get that fly.
Another fly. I've seen about 10 million flies today. It's really annoying.
People.
But yeah, always been really good with people. Very good with like customers and stuff like that. Always very confident to talk to people. So I thought, well, do you know what? I could become a salesman. I could do that. And I did always, not always, but for a wee while, I like outside of work, I did do the odd buying and selling cars. So I'd buy a car, fix it up out of work hours, and then I'd sell it. And I thought, I actually quite enjoy this. So I thought, okay, maybe I could become a salesman. But I didn't want to work for somewhere that didn't care about cars.
Corporate and mundane.
Yeah. I didn't want to work for somewhere where they're like, I just want to go in and buy a car to get me from A and B, because people don't really care. Like, there's not a lot of care that goes on. It's just a job. I wanted to work for somewhere where people care about cars and enthusiastic about it and stuff like that. But those kind of dealerships want experience. So I didn't get those roles. So I ended up working for the AA for another 2 years. Still knowing at that point that I did want to set up my own business, but I was a bit scared to do it. So did that for 2 years. COVID hit. After COVID, my mum fell ill and she was ill for a little while. She had to have a major operation. And because of that operation, I had to be at home to look after her and care for her for a few weeks. You know, she had a 6-week recovery period after the operation. I got a load of grief for having time off. They gave me a really, really hard time about it. And I took unpaid time off. And I said, look, I'm happy for it to be unpaid, whatever needs to be. I just need this time off. Came back early. I think it was after 4 weeks. And they were still unhappy about that. So I came back. I then needed an extra week off because my mum still wasn't right. I needed to be at home to look after her. When I came back after that week, they brought me in for a formal interview for my attendance. And I remember sitting at my kitchen table and I read this email and they wanted to bring me in for this meeting, and I was like, no, I'm not doing this. And I remember I was sat in my uniform ready to start work and I was like, no, I'm not interested in this. And I WhatsApped my manager there and then. I was like, I'm you know, from this point onwards, unfortunately, I'm no longer going to work for you. And they came and picked up my van that day, and I never worked for them again. And from that point onwards, I've worked for myself.
So was that the most pivotal, one of the best days ever in making that decision?
Yes, I would say so, yeah, because it made me realise that I didn't want to do the same old job anymore. You know, when you work for yourself, it makes you realise I wouldn't work for someone again. Saying that, obviously, I now work for Alex pretty much.
But it doesn't feel like it necessarily.
It doesn't feel like it, yeah. But from that point onwards, I was like, I don't want to do the same thing every day. I like going out, doing my own thing, earning my own money. You know, you get a lot more pride from it. It's really exciting as well because every day is different. You go and do, you know, unusual things every day. And yeah, I just really enjoyed it. But that for me was the push to leave what I was doing. I think I would have done it eventually at some point anyway.
At a time where also you needed to be there for you, but there's probably quite a lot of worry then creeping in.
There was, yeah. But I did have a couple of cars. I was like, okay, I'm going to sell these, and that money I'm going to use to, you know, start this business up and get going with what I was doing. And at the time, I had a very small unit. It was an old chicken shed. And I had a bit of place to put some cars. So I was like, okay, I could maybe buy and sell some cars out of this. And that was where it all stemmed from, really.
And what age were you then?
I was... it was just after lockdown, so I must have been 4 years ago. It must have been about 25, 26, I'd say.
Okay.
Something like that. So, yeah, I was still, in my 20s.
Tailor-Made Cars comes around. How long before you met Alex?
Literally a few months. It was
So we're not going to talk about the establishment story of Tailor-Made Cars.
It must have been, maybe a bit more than a few months. It was probably about 6 to 8 months, I'd say. I was working for myself. And then one day, I was out with my mate Joe in London somewhere. I think we were at Stratford, actually. And he looked on his Instagram story, and it was a post from Alex Kirsten, because obviously we all followed him at the time because of Car Throttle. You know, we all watched it. We're all massive fans of it. And it said, looking for an E46 330i manual touring. And I was like, I've got one of those. And I didn't just have any one of those. I had a one-of-one Techno Violet 330i manual, which is like a unicorn. In the BMW world, that is the one to have. Purple, great spec, really cool interior. It's the bollocks. So I messaged him out of the blue and I said, I've got this one. It's high mileage, which is what Alex likes. It needs a little bit of work, but it's a one-of-one unicorn spec 330. And he was like, can I come and have a look at it? I was like, yeah, sure, when? He was like, I'll be there in an hour. I was like, all right, cool. So he drove up to my unit.
That's the ADHD in him there, right there, isn't it?
And the same as well. I do the same. Drove up to the unit, met him there. I think he brought Gareth and Chris, I believe. I've got a picture of it somewhere on my phone. And had a look around the car. It was all like typical, like sort of dealery thing. They were a bit like on edge. I was a bit on edge. I was like, you know, how you doing? I've seen you on Car Throttle and all that, you know, the typical stuff. And then he bought the car. We negotiated a bit. He bought the car. Obviously knocked me down. How dare he knock me down? That's what I do. I was like, you can't roll reverse here. And he bought the car.
You thought, what a bellend. This guy's not cracked up to what he is on YouTube, honestly. He's savage, he's ruthless, he don't care about that.
Yeah. No, he was actually all right. And after he bought the car, we had a good chat. And it was the day after that I really got to know Alex, because he drove the car home. And then the next day, he was driving to a Car Throttle shoot. This is your garage. And he broke down in it. And he posted all over Instagram about the fact that he'd broken down in this car. And absolutely every single one of my followers tagged me in it. Because obviously the day before, I'm posting like, I've just sold a car to AutoAlex. Oh my God, it's great. And then 12 hours later, it's, oh my God, I'm on the side of the M40 in this car. And then
why do you think I wait a couple of weeks before I release these episodes, man? I don't know if you're going to get locked up.
I was like, I'm so embarrassed, man. What do I do? And to be fair, I would have done it with anyone. I went and picked it up on the trailer. And I was like, look, I'll sort it out for you and I'll bring it back. It's not a problem. And I didn't do that just because of his presence or that he posted about it. If anyone had messaged me saying I've broken down in this car that I bought from you 12 hours earlier, I would have gone and picked it up.
Oh, you are a good car salesman.
But that's just I don't like the whole ethos of dodgy car dealer. I like, to stick to my word. All right, yeah, it's a 20-odd-year-old car. You're going to get issues with it. I say that to anyone. But if you're on the side of the M40 half a day later, you've got to go and help them out. So I went and picked it up on the trailer. Had a good chat with Alex. He was fine about it. I think he was a little bit pissed off because what had happened was it used to run out of fuel at quarter of a tank. And I'm pretty sure I told him about it. I think I told him about it. But it happened anyway.
There's a small part of you that believes you did, isn't there?
Yeah. But the worst bit was someone towed him off of the M40. He put a full tank of fuel in it and it all pissed out on the floor. And I think he was a bit annoyed about that because he lost a load of fuel on the floor. But anyway, I went and picked it up, fixed it, dropped it back to him a day later. And we just got chatting. He really liked my BMW X5 that I had at the time and said that he wanted one. And I said, look, whatever cars you want to buy or whatever you want help with or anything like that, I'll help you out. If you ever need anything, just give me a bell. You know, I'll help you find cars. I know quite a lot of people with cool, unusual BMWs, old stuff. Whatever you want to find, I'll help you find it. And sure enough, a few weeks later, he rang me up. He's like, I really want an X5. I've been looking at your one and I want one. So I said, okay, I'll find you one. I said, do you want a manual or do you want an auto? He said, I'd quite like an auto. I think I said, don't be a pussy, get a manual. And we just started looking. I found him one in London and we went to look at it and it was really crap. And after we went to look at it, we were a bit disappointed. So we went to West Kebab. And I remember sitting there and I was like, oh my God, I am sat in West Kebab with Alex Kirsten. Like, this is mad. Like, I couldn't believe it.
Fast forward now, you're like, I'm sat in fucking
like,
West Kebab with Alex
Kirsten.
Kirsten.
I've got to see the geezer every day. Do you know what I mean? But no, and then I found him one. It was in Liverpool and it was a manual and it was mega high spec and it was 900 quid. And I remember ringing him up. I said, I found this car. We need to go and get it now. Because if we don't buy it now, someone else is going to buy it because it's like really nice. So I remember I went and picked him up and we drove all the way up to Liverpool this evening. Like one night, I remember we got back at silly o'clock in the morning and the whole way there we were just chatting about stuff. And we spoke about the whole YouTube thing. And I said, I'll help you out in any way I can. Like if you want to come to my unit and do videos or whatever, like I'd be more than happy to. And I remember the day he left Car Throttle and posted up his first video, I remember messaging him and just reminding him, like, if you need any help with it.
Oh, so timescale-wise, this whole story is while he's at Car Throttle?
While he's at Car Throttle, in the period of leaving Car Throttle, he's right at his last days. And I think he bought...
Gosh, we're talking about him like he's dead,
I know, yeah, it's really bad. I think he bought Barney and the X5 with the expectations to leave and then make good content on them.
Okay.
So he then called me a little while later and asked me loads of questions about an X5. He was like, I want to do a BMW X5 buyer's guide. I was like, all right, cool. And he said, can I come to yours and we'll do a walk around of yours and mine and we'll explain like what to look out for, pitfalls, blah, blah. I was like, yeah, cool. I remember he turned up at my unit on this day. I was mega nervous. Like, I'd never been on camera in my life. I didn't even really like having my picture taken. I hated the sound of my own voice. And I'd spent all day the day before cleaning my X5, so it was all nice, ready to be on camera. He turned out his X5 was all covered in crap, like no effort whatsoever. And he parked it next to mine. And this was, I think, the second time I'd ever met Rory. And they walked into my unit and I was just showing them around. And I told him about my 6 Series and the story behind it. And I remember Rory turned to Alex and he said, screw the X5 idea, we're filming this. And it was completely like out of the blue. There was no planning whatsoever. And I was like, okay, cool. So I pulled the 6 Series out, put it in the middle of the unit, and we walked round the unit explaining what cars I had and then spoke about the 6 Series. Went out for a drive in it. It literally took us a few hours to film it. Posted it, and up until 2 weeks ago it was the most viewed video on AutoAlex for 2 years. It was 1.8 million views, and that was the first time I'd ever been on camera in my life, and it just went from there.
And how did the audience take that? Were you looking for someone that was... Because I feel like this story, and this is one of the reasons I wanted you to come and explain it from the beginning, as much as we'll get into the bits where we'll be laughing our socks off in a minute at some of the recent encouragements, but there's so many people that you're going to be relatable to out there. You know, like, even I can relate in my sense of my mum, which is I started my fishing channel, and like she would want to go into her makeup, make sure she's all right to be on camera, but now I just sort of shove a camera in her face and try and get the best content out of her because she is so flipping good at being on camera. But it's such a new thing when you've not been in that world and you do stress about it. Like, was you the guy like looking through all the comments just to see if there was one that you didn't like?
Yeah, Yeah, you do. That's what you do. Whenever you're on camera, like now, I'm not really fussed. Like I'll browse through the comments, but I don't look at every single one and then look at the negativity and go, oh, that's really bad. I'm really sad. Like I don't take it to heart anymore. I feel like it doesn't matter what you do, you're always going to get some negativity. Yeah. It is what it is. But yeah, the first video, I was like, looking through, and to be fair, there was a lot of positivity in that first episode. There was obviously the few negative comments, and I was like, a bit upset about that, and blah blah. But yeah, there was a lot of positivity.
So did you take that as drive? Did you want to do more after doing that episode?
Yeah. And Alex and Rory also wanted me to do more. They were like,
so this is the start of it. This is how it happened. Tell us, man. Show us more passion, more energy.
That was where it began. They were like, we want you to do more. It worked well. We like the Burger King hat, because I introduced the episode with a Burger King hat on randomly. But like I was so like, I remember walking around, I was like, I didn't know when the camera was on, when it was off, what to say, what to do. Like I was really nervous, but it just worked. It worked really well. And yeah, it went from there. And then I moved units a few weeks after that, got a bigger unit, and Alex called me up. He's like, I want to set up a V2 channel. And I was like, all right, okay, let's do some videos. He was like, I want to do some steering lock tests and do some durability tests and stuff like that. I was like, okay, that sounds quite fun. And I remember he came to my unit, and it was so funny. And what we did was such a laugh. I had chest pains. I had a headache. It worked so well. It ended up being a V1 video, and it got, again, loads of positivity. People absolutely loved it. It was brilliant. We had such laugh making it. I crashed into a smoker's shed. I drove a car with a steering lock on while standing on the chair, and it was just hilarious. And yeah, from then on, we just ended up doing some really, really funny stuff. We took a caravan on track. We took a £1,000 car and caravan on a Wales trip. And
when was the moment then? Because I had this earlier in the year. I had this moment, and it clicked, man. I just couldn't believe it. Have you had your I feel like a Top Gear presenter moment yet?
Yes, I have had that. It's mainly whenever we go to Europe. The first time we went to Europe, I had it. And it's when you're driving along as a trio, and you've got a Land Rover in front of you with the tailgate open and a camera sticking out of it, and the sun's going down, and you're driving a really cool car, and you've got two other cool cars next to you, and you think, oh my God, this is the dream. Like, this is what I watched growing up as a kid, and I'm doing it. Like, you have to pinch yourself. It's absolutely unbelievable, but it is an amazing, amazing feeling. And it's amazing to spend time with Alex and Rory, because we get on like a house on fire on and off camera.
So I've seen Alex refer to you as like your best mate now. That's just been the most natural thing in the world ever. Have you two ever disagreed about something?
Oh yeah, we do that all the time.
Fucking tell us then.
We've had the odd tiff, like, but that's just friendships, isn't it? You disagree with stuff. I can't remember exactly what we've disagreed on. There will have been stuff.
So tell us. You told us about that's one of the most enjoyable moments. That initial feeling of feeling like you're a Top Gear presenter. You've come from being in something so relatable to so many people to something you've been naturally just go into, and you're still trying to run a business in the background of going into all of these videos and do it right.
Saying that, as of recently, I've toned back the business, and I'm investing pretty much all of my time into YouTube. Because it was stressing me out. It was too much for me. And I was literally 8 o'clock in the morning, leave home, drive here, leave here
Which is how far away?
Which is an hour and a half each way. Leave here at 6 p.m, drive to my unit, spend time there until about 1 o'clock in the morning, and then go home. And I was doing that every day. And I was like, I can't do this anymore.
It's going to burn out.
I'm starting to feel ill. It's stressing me out. I'm starting to not enjoy it. I've got a choice. I'm either full-time buying and selling cars, or I'm full-time YouTube. And realistically, what are you going to pick? Like,
Well, no, was it?
Like, the way I said it in my head, I can pursue buying and selling cars at any point in my life. This is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. If you get the opportunity to do YouTube and what we do, you got to pursue it. And I
said, are you like editing in the background? Are you doing this? Like, no, I'm just presenting, man. I'm just on camera, and I'm absolutely loving it. That must be just like, what does your mum think?
She thinks it's amazing. She really does, and she loves the fact that I enjoy it, because she knows when, I've gone out and done something that I enjoy, because I come back really happy and positive, and she enjoys watching it as well. She's never actually been to a show. She's never been to,
I want my
car
mum
show.
to come to a show or something, just once. It would be nice.
Yeah. I'd like my mum to as well. She's never, as I say, she's never been to one, but she has watched our content on YouTube and she finds it very funny and stuff like that. And I also love the fact that Rory's mum listens to the podcast, like our podcast, and she's a big part of our podcast. And I remember at Shedfest, some guys actually made a big flag that said Rory's mum Jackie on the flag, and it was it's brilliant. But sorry, that's my ADHD strong.
That's what we want to know, man.
Yeah.
No, it's not off topic. That is what we want to know.
But yeah, no, my mum really likes it as well. She was a bit unsure when I said I'm going to leave the motor trade. She was like, "Oh, you sure? Like you've invested loads of money into your unit and stuff like that." Like she's always a bit cautious, and I said, "Look, just trust me. Like I'm pursuing something that I enjoy, and that's what it's all about."
And you mentioned to me at the weekend that you're actually now thinking of moving down this way.
Yeah, I am, to try and remove the effort that I have to put into every morning of flashing people out of my way on the M25 and the M4.
Oh no!
That sit in the middle and outside lane in front of me every single day.
Do you know what? I was playing a game of Shag, Marry, Kill with someone the other day, and we'd run out of people to play the game with.
Yeah.
And I just went, the M4, the M40, or the M25, what are you picking for Shag, Marry, Kill? And 100% everybody kills the M25.
Yeah.
It's just like the worst thing in the world ever.
It's awful.
Speaking about roads then, and getting into the fun of all of this, what has been like a highlight trip? Tell us a story from one of your favourite moments of the trips.
A highlight trip for me, it was the most stressful, but it was the trip where we took I think it was 1,500 quid sports cars to the Nürburgring. And Alex and Rory done loads of stuff to their cars. Obviously got sponsored by a lot of people, BC Racing coilovers, had semi-slick, stuff like that. Tyre Streets UK sent them tyres. Loads of stuff. And for some reason they picked on me and I didn't get anything. They're like, "No, you're not having anything." I was like, "All right, cool, you want to play that game?" So in my spare time, I went out and got loads of stuff and modified my car completely off camera without them knowing. So the day we turned up to go to the Nürburgring, I turned up in this Mini and they were like, "What have you done to this car?" And I was like, "Everything you've done, guys. Come on, it's fair play here." But I'd done it off my own back. And I'd spent loads of time, like late evenings, loads and loads of graft preparing this Mini for this trip. And I was like super excited about it. I loved the car. I spent loads of money on it. And I was just really, really excited. And I remember we left, it was great, had a great journey through, France, Belgium, etc. Got on the Autobahn in Germany, and we all did a top speed run. The other guys obviously were a bit faster than me because I was only in a Mini. I got to 140 miles an hour.
In a bean can.
In a bean can. I felt a slight misfire, and I thought, there's something not quite right here. And then saw quite a lot of blue smoke coming out the exhaust. I was like, there's definitely something not right here. And then pulled off the motorway and realised that I'd blown my engine up. And I was like, I don't believe this. And genuinely, this was before a time where I realised that something like this makes for great content. I was so pissed off. I told the guys to get the camera out of my face. I was like, just leave me alone. I was absolutely fuming. I was really upset. And I just wanted to go home. I was like, I want to go home. I don't want to be part of this. I've just spent a fortune on this. I've driven it halfway here.
Was that one of your toughest moments on the channel?
Genuinely, yeah. It was one of my toughest moments. And I was like, I just want to go home. And I remember I rung Alex and Rory, and obviously they took piss, as they do. And they said, "Look, get in the camera car, drive to the ring. We need you to film because we're about to take our cars out on track with Misha. Leave the car there with Luke and we'll get it recovered. We'll get it back over to Apex." I said, okay. So I drove very miserably the Land Rover camera car up to Apex. And by the time I got there, a biker had crashed on the ring and they shut it for the evening.
Oh, there's nothing worse, is there?
Yeah.
Literally, we got a curse. I've been away a few times with Matt and the guys. And there is I'm pretty sure we call it the Chris Slicks curse. Because any time he's within 20 miles of the Nürburgring, darkness descends and it either snows or rains it just is closed. It's like, if you want to go to the ring, don't go with Chris Slicks anywhere near you.
Yeah. But yeah, and I was like, okay, I'm going up to my room. I was still fuming, and I was like, we managed to. So Alex posted on his Instagram story, anyone do recoveries like in the local area, we need to get this car from this place to the ring. But the thing I was annoyed about the most is I didn't blow it up on the Nürburgring. I blew it up 40 minutes away from the ring. So I didn't even make it. I was like, talk about rub it in my face. So I went up to my room. I posted on my Instagram as well, can anyone recover this car back to the UK? Because I knew it was toast. And I got a few replies, and I think the cheapest quote I got was 1,500 quid. And at that time, I'd already spent a fortune on the car, and invested loads of time into it. I was like, I've got to spend another 1,500 quid. Like, is it worth it? Like, what do I do in this situation? So I went to bed, and I was like, I'm just going to go to bed and pretend this whole situation didn't happen.
But is this because it meant so much to you and you were taking it so seriously, so that you weren't seeing that this was actually content yet?
Yeah. I was completely oblivious to it at the time. Obviously, Alex and Rory were like, oh, this is golden. I'm like fuming.
This is why I worry when the boys force me to go quick on track when I go away with Matt and the guys, because I know that if I crash, crap for me, fantastic for them.
Yeah, that's the difference between the channel buying a car and you buying a car and it being your personal car. It's completely different. But so I woke up to a knock on the door, and it was Luke, and he came up. He was like, how you feeling and all that. I was like, Luke, I'm really upset, genuinely really upset. It's going to cost this much to get it back. I don't know what to do. I didn't even make it onto the ring. I wouldn't have minded if it blew up on the ring, but the fact that it was 40 minutes away, it just really upset me. And then Alex and Rory came in, and the cameraman came in, and I thought, I don't need this.
Fuck off.
Just go away. I don't need this. And then Alex sat down, and he said, how you feeling? And I was like, I'm gutted. Like, I was genuinely borderline tears. I was so passionate about it.
God, I bet they called you every name under the sun, man.
Abused me. And he looked at me in the eyes, and he went, how would you feel if I told you I bought you an engine? And I just went, Alex, don't wind me up. And he went, how would you feel if I told you I've not only bought you an engine, but a John Cooper Works engine? And I was like, are you being serious? And he gave me a hug, and he went, I've bought you an engine. And I was like, I can see what's coming now. I've got to fit it. So what had happened was, he posted on his Instagram story, can anyone recover this car? A guy messaged him, a guy called Nick. He runs the gantry at the Nürburgring. Really nice bloke. He said, look, I can recover you. Also, I've got an engine sat in my shed for an R53. It's a John Cooper Works engine. It's done 40,000 miles. Do you want to buy it? And Alex was like, well, obviously. They negotiated a price and bought it like over the phone. And I was like, and then obviously they came and told me. And then I was sat there just still completely bemused by the whole situation. I was like, what is actually going on here? And they were like, right, we need to go and get in the Land Rover and go and get this engine. And I was like, okay, right. It was 6 minutes away from our hotel. You couldn't make it up. It had been sat there for 2 years on a pallet from a car that had crashed at the ring, and it was just there waiting for me. And we all lifted this mini engine into the boot of our camera car with oil pissing out of it all over the carpet and everything. It was a nightmare. And we all jumped in it, and we had to have this big scaffolding plank running through the middle of the car to slide it back out of the boot of the car on. And we got a very funny video of that. We scratched all the dashboard and everything. It was a nightmare. But we drove it back to Apex, went out for dinner, and then a really nice guy called Leon messaged us. He's like, look, I've got a workshop. You can use it. And I've never met any of these people in my life. I was like, they've all come together to help us out and get this car going again. Like, it was amazing. So 7 o'clock next morning, we all got up. We towed the Mini to this workshop the night before. We all got up. I went out to the unit, put it on the ramp, and just started taking it apart. And I got the engine and gearbox out of it in an hour and 40 minutes. It was just carnage. I remember looking at this car with no front end on it, no engine in it, no gearbox, nothing. I was like, I've got to drive this home tomorrow. And at that point in my head, I was like, this car is not going on the ring. I just need to get it back together so I can get it home. And I remember Alex and Rory the whole day were being a massive pain in the arse. They were just getting on my nerves, like kicking stuff over and pretending to work on it, but not. And I was like, look, why don't you guys go out and get lunch or something and just leave me be?
Schnitzel.
Just do something. Leave me be and I'll crack on. So me and Luke worked on it. They came back, annoyed me a bit more. And then at 4:30 p.m, they were like, right, we've got to leave. We need to get our cars on track tonight. If they're not on track tonight and if we don't get anything filmed, we've not got anything. We've not got any track footage. We need to leave tomorrow. And I was like, all right, cool. They were like, good luck. I'll see you on track. And at that moment, I was like, this car's going on track tonight. Game on. I was like, I'm not having that. This is like, I need to prove something here. So I just went into overdrive, started smashing everything.
I'm picturing the music in the edit now.
Yeah,
like, duh, duh.
It was carnage. I was going to Luke, right, pass me this, pass me that. Let's get it all. I whacked it all together. And I remember the track shut, I think, at 6 p.m. It was, or 7 p.m, I think. I got to Apex in the car. I got it running, bled it all out. I got to Apex genuinely 15 minutes before the track closed. And I got there absolutely covered in shit. I was absolutely knackered. My legs were killing me when I was crouching down all day working on this engine. And the guy said, do you want to take this car out? And I said, if you pay for recovery, if it breaks, feel free. And they were like, right, rig it up. They stuck all the GoPros in it. Misha jumped in it. The clutch was like half bled out. You could just about engage a gear.
And Misha doesn't know what, like, just back off 10%
He has
does it?
no mechanical sympathy whatsoever.
None.
He's in a car flat. From the minute he gets in it, he is just flat out. That is his main goal. And I remember I sat in the passenger seat of that car, having got that engine started for the first time in 2 years, 20 minutes prior, on the ring, with a professional driver, flat. And I was just sat there, bolt staring at the temperature gauge. I was absolutely terrified. And we got to a corner midway through the track. I think it's called Shriden Cruise or something. It's a very long sweeping left-hander. You're doing about 100, 130 miles an hour through it in a car like that, I think. And if you let off, the back end steps out and you end up in the gravel. It's really, really common. Quite a lot of people crash there. And I remember Misha let off to change gear, couldn't get it into gear because the clutch still had air in it. He's trying to ram it into gear, feather the steering as we're sliding towards the gravel. And I was just like, right, this is it. I'm dying. I say my prayers now. We're gone. And we were a foot away from the gravel. He got it into gear and powered out of it. And I've never seen Misha like shit himself that much in my life. Excuse my French. He was terrified. He thought we were going off as well. It was Alex and Rory were following us around the track,
Laughing.
obviously laughing and going, oh my God. And it was the moment that we got to the finish line where everyone started cheering and everyone was cheering down the walkie-talkie. Genuinely one of the most amazing moments of my life, because I was like, this car a few hours ago was blown up and it's just done a full lap of the Nürburgring absolutely flat out with Misha driving it. And
is it moments like that even though the journey's not been that long since they walked around that car in the unit, did you even realise the cameras were on?
No. I can't even explain how I felt. That was just like a true Top Gear moment.
So then based on that, what is your biggest fear?
My biggest fear? When you say biggest fear, what do you mean?
That's a moment of everything in the last few years, everything leading up to that moment, all the work of learning different skills that have been put into X, Y, and Z to learn how to get to the moment where you're in the most unsurprising, infamous position of all, presenting one of the largest, fastest growing YouTube channels alongside Alex, who before had been a star of car thought and all the rest of it. You get to that point and you're now living these moments.
Yeah.
Like, is there anything in the back of your head that you get worried about these days, or you just feel like you're living one big ride?
I'm just riding the waves. I'm just living it and enjoying it. I don't really. I'll be honest. The only thing that I'm a bit nervous about is when we go on these trips. Alex and Rory like to abuse me in the fact that they make me do things that I hate.
I can draw so many comparisons.
Honestly,
this is what they do to me.
It's a nightmare. So I think it was actually the first road trip we ever did. I've got a big fear of roller coasters. When I was quite young, I went on one. I got really sick and I've hated them ever since. Been paranoid about them. Whenever my mates used to go to Fort Park, I felt left out. So I'd go there and I'd spend my entire day on the Rumba Rapids and in Pizza Hut. I wouldn't go on any of the rides. I was paranoid. So obviously, first road trip we ever go to, we go to Blackpool, Pleasure Beach, great, get Taylor on all the roller coasters. Never been so terrified in my life. I had a panic attack. Genuinely, I had a panic attack. I'm strapped. I was like, no, not going on it. No, point blank refuse. They're dragging me up to this roller coaster. And it's one that you get strapped into, your legs dangle and you're going upside down and spinning around and all that. And I'm like, no way.
I've seen the news story where 23 people.
Yeah. And they're dragging me onto it. They're going, go on, do it for the content. Do it for the episode, blah, blah, giving it all that. And I'm like, brilliant. Here we go. So I got on it. The shoulder thing came down and that was it. I was like, Rory, get me off of this now. I was sweating. I was like, get me off of this roller coaster now. I was shouting. I was like, turn it off, get it off, press the red button, get me. And then it went. And I've never been so absolutely terrified in my life, but I really enjoyed it. Genuinely, I got over my fear of roller coasters. I went on a few more after that, it was fine. But my fear is that every time we go away, they try and do terrifying things. They want to get me on a bungee.
I did have a mark on one of my arms till not too long ago that was very recognisable because when I last went away with Matt and the boys to Spain, they know that I'm not very good on bikes. If it has two wheels, there's no chance.
Yeah.
Like, I have no balance whatsoever, nothing. And we ended up at a BMXing park. And I thought, cool, get to watch Matt in his element on a BMX. This would be sick. And they were like, Benji.
Oh, no.
Like, and I was like, I know in the back of my head I'm going to do it, but I also know that I just won't be very good at it. But I also know there was part of me that was listening to all the enthusiasm and building up to do it, which is what they do, don't they? They make you believe you can do something that sometimes you cannot do because it just requires a level of skill that you don't have. I spent my life sitting in by the side of fishing lakes, not BMXing. Within 3 seconds of me getting on the BMX, I'd fallen off, screamed, hurt my back, and the next day it was an entirely blue. Like, I just think that we're those kind of people that for some reason we can be pressured into any environment known to mankind and put in that situation. But it's weird because at the end of the trip you look back on it and you think you wouldn't have it any other way.
Yeah.
And this is before, all these things have happened before even setting foot in the States, because Alex tells me that you guys are going to SEMA.
We are, yeah.
Also going to SEMA.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to it.
And you're planning on driving basically to SEMA in some shit boxes.
Yeah, I mean, we have no idea what we're going to do. We never really plan anything.
How does planning work? Do you all just sit on a couch and brainstorm?
So we brainstorm, think of a rough idea, go out, and then ADHD flares up and things just happen. That's literally like... In recent times, we have been planning a bit more stuff, but prior to that, we literally go with the flow. What happens, happens. We don't predict anything. Because I find also that works the best way. So,
can you comprehend the level of people that watch the videos?
When you say comprehend, you mean...
I asked Alex this because I had a moment a few weeks ago where the problem is with all of the YouTube creators now is when you get into your YouTube mode, looking at the analytics and data, you go, oh God, the video did like 100k in like 5 days. It's flopped. I want to quit. This is ridiculous. And then you see a photo of like Wembley full of Taylor Swift fans and what 100k actually looks like in summer and think, oh my God, like we have no idea how many people that is and all the rest of it. Like, are you baffled when you see 400,000, 500,000, 600,000 views on the videos? And then how does it make you feel when people coming up to you at the events and starting to recognise you? Does it all feel just like surreal?
It does a bit. The thing that made me sort of comprehend it was Shedfest this year. I was stood on a stage with Alex and Rory, and there was about 12,000 people in front of me. And I looked out and I thought, I've never seen this many people in my life. Like, this is a sea of people. And I thought, 12,000 people is a tiny percentage of the views overall that we get on most of our videos. Like, it, you know, and I thought, this actually makes me realise how many people are watching the stupid shit that we do. Like, that's what made me realise, it makes you, I don't know how to explain
Humble
it.
you?
Yeah, it does humble you. Yeah, 100%. But meeting people coming up to me, I like it because naturally I just like chatting to people. I think sometimes I probably bore them because they come up to me and say hello. I end up asking them about their car and they're stuck with me for 10 minutes. Like, I like it. I like saying hello to people, meeting people. You know, I get good compliments about what we do and, you know, and some of the road trips we've done and the content that we're churning out. It's great. I do love it. I really, really enjoy meeting people, yeah. But yeah, that's what made me realise how many views we actually get, is when I looked out at a sea of people at Shedfest. That was mad.
What comes next then? Where are you all going?
I don't know. I really don't know. We're just going to keep doing what we're doing and keep buying really cool cars and really shit cars.
Do you ever worry you'll run out of content?
No, I don't, because there's still loads of stuff out there to do. There's still loads of stuff out there that I want to do. There's still loads of stuff that Alex wants to do, and there's still loads of stuff that Rory wants to do. And there's still loads of places that we haven't been. That's the joy about doing road trips and stuff like that. There's a million places I want to go and visit and take cars to and drive to, and I think it's all a possibility now. You know, doing what we do, I think we can actually fulfill the dreams that we want to do. It gives you that possibility.
Just because the Grand Tour and Top Gear's over doesn't mean it's necessarily end of an era. I think the people listening to this and the people that watch your videos are going to have great content to come for years to come from a whole new array of upcoming creators. So to hear your story and how you've been part of the AutoAlex channel and everything that's led up to that, it's probably going to be one of the most relatable episodes, I'm going to say, that I've ever filmed of the podcast. So thank you for coming on and having a giggle. Thank you for getting in the back of me van, which is
getting my van. Well, thanks for having me. I really enjoy it. I've always enjoyed doing podcasts ever since we did the first ones. It was, again, really alien to me because Alex and Rory had been doing it for God knows how long. Well, not so much Rory, but Alex. And I was like, what do I do here? I've got a microphone in front of me. What do I say? And still now, I get a bit carried away and
I reckon you're toned down.
Much, but
I reckon you're toned down. In real life, you are so much more crackers.
Yeah.
This is a toned down. Maybe there's not enough
yeah.
stimulus surrounding these walls
Yeah.
to keep you cows, but that was really good, and I think that there'll be many people that can relate to your story and then hope that the building blocks fall into place for it to make it their own as well.
Yeah,
so thank you for coming on Road to Success.
Thanks for having me.
Appreciate it.
Appreciate it. Yeah, thank you.